Welcome to the Ask Brien Show. The following is paid programming and does not necessarily reflect the opinions of KHTS or its ownership.
Welcome. You're listening to KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM because I'm a New Yorker. And we have a great show. And yes, I know everybody was disappointed that we did not have a co-host last week. What am I going to say? I don't know what to tell you. But we do have one today. We have our co-host. We have her name is Lindsay Mann.
Woohoo! Hey, Brian. Thank you for having me here.
Woohoo!
And you know what? I made it today, even though my tire blew out on the side of the freeway.
Wow, that's scary.
It was scary.
Now, it's very lucky because you have a blowout. Anything can happen. You can lose totally control of the car. But before we get into that, some people, and you do not have, I'm not going to question you, but some people have not listened to the show. I don't know what's wrong with you. I'm not going to tell you there's something wrong with you, but you should be listening to the show. Why? Ask Brien is affiliated with AskBrien.com because Ask Brien is a website that allows people to solve their business problems. So if you're a business owner and you have a problem, you can ask somebody who's your friend, what do I do? But maybe you don't want to tell your friend, right? Does your friend really need to know that, oh my God, I can't collect my accounts receivable and I can't pay my bills, what should I do? Do you really want to tell your friend that? Okay, you know what, hey, you want to go out to dinner tonight? Sorry, because I'm going to get stuck with the bill, goodbye. Then you've got the other issue that, who are you going to ask? Well, okay, the consultants out there, they're going to charge you, okay, $10,000. Whoa, I can't even collect my accounts receivable. I can't spend that kind of money. What am I going to do? All these questions, all these problems. So you can go to Ask Brien and ask a question. But if you want, you can ask an expert. An expert requires you. Now, not everyone can become an expert, but the experts on the Ask Brien website are required to have 10,000 hours of training in one specific area. It's not an absolute requirement, but we do vet them personally. We don't use a bot. We don't take privacy information. We don't deal with that stuff. I was going to say a bad word, but I stopped. Okay. The engineer knows what I'm talking about, so does the whole staff, looking in my eyes. But here we are back. Every expert on Ask Brien is allowed to post videos to teach you something, post ebooks, put their blog posts on, and schedule webinars. So if you've got an issue with how do I collect my money, well, the real answer, by the way, is you got to be tough with people. Because you know what? People don't part with their money easily. And, if you look at it, how are people collecting money? Collection agency, they get scared, they pay it, right? You have to go after them tough. Anyway, that's just one example of Ask Brien. And Ask Brien is affiliated with the Ask Brien radio show. And each week, we try to have somebody on this show that'll try to help a business owner solve business problems or at least learn something so that the next time, if you keep on listening to the Ask Brien radio, this is, could be a replacement for business school. That's the reality. You can learn and real life practical stuff. So we've got a great guest on, and I'm going to introduce her, and her name is Heather DeSantis. Are you there, Heather?
I am here. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, we are.
I'm kind of afraid because you, as the listeners, he brought a very vetted guest, and that I have known Lindsay and the show for so long. So they really do so much due diligence to vet their guests.
And yet you still made it.
I know.
And Heather, how long do we know each other now? We met at the Collision Conference, 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
2 years and 2
That
months.
was awesome. So Heather
Yes.
and I, we met at the, was the after hours women's meeting.
That sounds like drinking. I don't know if we can do that.
Oh, that was fun, though. We got all dolled up. We had our little beads on, our crowns, everything. It was so much fun. So Heather, by the way, are you still involved in the feminist kind of movement here, with women, in charge?
So I would say yes, but I am very focused now on like for good. So like that's why like we're publicity for good and working with every business owner or person to one ask themselves like what's the relevancy of their business? How are they giving back? Focusing on positive stories in the news and then also encouraging business owners to whenever possible add a for good component to their business, whether it's free content or, okay, I'm really good at this, so I'm going to donate my time in a local community. So I'd say it's a more holistic for good component now.
Okay, so not everybody knows your background, so why don't you explain what business you're in, because that hasn't come up. I may know it, Lindsay may know it, but no, the listener may not.
Absolutely. So I work in the realm of public relations, and that means for really working with any business owner or entrepreneur to manage their reputation in the media. So getting them featured on TV or podcast or online website, really building a brand around a person or company so that they are seen as an authority in their field.
Heather, what's the difference between PR and advertising?
So PR is non-paid. So you don't pay for the spot. It's a lot more editorial, a lot more informational based, and it's an interview or feature that is purely based around the content or a media member really seeing the value in your story, so your background or what you have to teach. Now, advertising is it's more promotional, so it would be a more promotional piece focusing on the benefits of a certain company, and you would physically pay for that spot with the media company.
Awesome. How does PR help a small business owner with one location?
So the first thing is it's authority building. If there are millions other businesses in your area and they're doing the same thing, it really will increase your authority. It will drive traffic to you, and it really helps you stand out. There is a financial planner we work with in Atlanta, and he's not a digital marketing guy. He's a finance guy, and he was on CBS. They did an awareness segment about how do you manage your finances and taxes, and it was very informational, not promotional at all. And that TV segment in that market brought him 3 big clients, and people still come or choose to work with him because they're endorsed by a media company, or he is seen as an educator first instead of someone that is just selling product.
It's almost like being an expert on Ask Brien.
Yeah, it's the same thing. And like that is considered PR. What are you doing as a business owner to really educate your consumer first to then garner their trust to buy from you?
So PR can be localized.
Oh, it absolutely can. And I think for small businesses, you should start local. So that means it could be something as simple as getting involved in your Chamber of Commerce and speaking. It could be, okay, I have a bakery and I'm going to share flyers at events. Like it can be this fancy PR, TV, media world, or you can think totally regional, grassroots, speaking at an event, affiliation with other groups, etc.
So if I had a furniture store on Main Street, how would I? First of all, is it more money to advertise or to publicize?
Advertise.
And why
it depends. It depends on the city. If we're looking at the LA market, you're in a big market. It's going to be a lot more expensive to buy an advertisement in a paper or digital. It's probably going to be like 10 times what the normal price would be in a normal city. Now, if you were to do organic PR, whether it was just doing outreach yourself or working with a local intern or someone to help you, I mean, you can get a story with there's no cost in PR. Where advertising, if you're in the LA market, a TV segment probably would be like $10,000 to $15,000 for a 3-minute segment, where you really can get that segment for free if you are able to articulate like what's the content and what's the value for the viewer or listener.
Now, what is organic PR? Because I'm very familiar with organic cucumbers, but I'm not familiar with organic PR. So one has herbicides, one doesn't, right?
Organic PR, I would consider like focusing on like, okay, if this is my business, like what's the story? What is the information that I can teach to my local community or on my local show that's going to benefit the end consumer, listener, or viewer? Organic is, it's like if you're reading a magazine or you're listening to a show, studies show that people are more receptive to more traditional news stories than a paid advertisement.
Well, that's a good question. Now, with the internet, what I'm seeing is more and more people are reading their news, getting their information off of the internet. In my day, and I know, yes, that was the Pony Express when you had to ride your pony to school, but we actually had something called a newspaper. I don't know if anyone knows what that. A newspaper, and that's how I used to read. But nowadays, everyone pulls up their iPhone, when they're on the Jack in the Box waiting online to get their chicken tenders or whatever they're selling, and that's how people are learning their news. So how has that impacted or affected PR?
So there's a lot more digital publications and smaller newspapers in your region. So that's the first thing, is there are bloggers and news outlets that you can get a story in. But once again, you need to figure out what's the value for the media member to make them want to cover your story and not say what you're pitching me is too advertorial or promotional. The other thing, too, is even if you're a small business and even if you just get one story in a local paper and it's online, what you can do then is take that one story that's in the Culver City daily paper and take that digital story and then put it on Facebook and then run paid traffic to the region that you want to target to drive people to your furniture store.
Heather, so basically, are you reposting the same information?
So essentially what you're doing is once you're featured in the media and there's a domain URL and you can go to it, you're essentially putting that post on your business Facebook page and then endorsing it, boosting it, and paying for paid traffic for that press piece from your business page, targeting the zip codes that are around your business.
Interesting. Heather, do you have a preferred social media to go through?
And is it based on what business you're in, or does it matter?
Good question.
I would say it doesn't matter on business. I would say it matters on how far will someone come drive. It's digital, it doesn't matter. But if you have a brick and mortar location, how far are people willing to drive in for your service? That's the question. Is my consumer someone that's only in a certain radius, or is my consumer a male, but it doesn't matter where he lives?
But even with a brick and mortar, and even with the furniture store example, hey, if I'm in Idaho and I see this store in San Diego, California, and they're selling a rocking chair, and I've always wanted to have a rocking chair, and it's a good price, I can still go online, order, and have it picked up and delivered.
Absolutely.
So when will you be there? We have 1 minute left, and so I still don't think Lindsay's question was answered. Probably.
What was there? Oh, my favorite?
Yes.
Instagram.
Okay, that seems to be the hottest. Why? It seems like they have more features now than they ever had before. Why do you like it so much?
I like it so much because as a business owner, I think it's easier to see the metrics. So number one, it's more aesthetically pleasing. If you're a business owner in the LA market and you have a juice bar and there's other LA juice bars, I can physically see who's following those other juice bars that live in the LA market, and I can start following those people so they start following me, which is really cool, and there's no cost to that.
That is awesome.
I think we have to take a break. Is that correct? Yes, we do. So we'll be right back with Heather.
Why do people from all over Santa Clarita come to our spa in Canyon Country? Simple. They want the highest quality services at prices that everyone can afford. This is Rosemary from Beyond Harmony Med Spa. Read our reviews and know why we won the Ultimate Beauty Awards 2 years in a row by the readers of Elite magazine. Come and see how close we really are and experience the level of excellence that our clients have loved for the past 13 years. Go to beyondharmony.com or call 298-8008 today for a free consultation.
Olive Terrace Bar and Grill is the hottest new Mediterranean fusion restaurant in Santa Clarita with unique delicacies like seafood right off the boat, mouth-watering prime steaks, artesian sandwiches, delicious pastas, and tasty kebabs. Unwind on their cozy outdoor patio at their weekend champagne brunch, full menu, and weekly specials at oliveterracebarandgrill.com. Check out their full bar and happy hour daily specials in Valencia on Copper Hill and Newhall Ranch Road by LA Fitness. Olive Terrace Bar and Grill, delicious food seasoned with love.
If you're in danger of losing your home to foreclosure, you need an expert. Hi, I'm Rich Sherman with Alta Realty. I've helped hundreds of Santa Clarita residents save their homes completely for free. I've got just over 20 years experience and a loan modification success rate of over 80%. I can negotiate better terms with your bank and I can save your home from foreclosure. And again, we do this completely for free. So if you're in any danger, please call me today at 661-714-1400. That number again is 661-714-1400. I'm Rich Sherman with Alta Realty, and I'll be happy to help you save your home for free.
Something big is coming to Castaic.
Is it a dinosaur, Bob?
No, Blanche.
Is it the 2020 Olympics?
No.
I know. We're finally hosting the World Cup.
No, silly. They're building Castaic High.
Bob, no way.
Go visit CastaicHighProject.com. You'll get all the latest details.
What's that web address again, Bob?
CastaicHighProject.com.
Again?
CastaicHighProject.com.
Bigger than a dinosaur?
That's right. CastaicHighProject.com.
If you have a business problem, if someone doesn't honor their agreement and you need an aggressive attorney with over 27 years experience, the Law Office of Peter Bronstein has helped partners resolve disputes, franchisees resolve disputes, and other business owners who have a challenge. Let the Law Office of Peter Bronstein take your stress away. Visit lacorporateattorney.com. Don't wait too long and lose your rights. Solve your business challenge problem today. Visit lacorporateattorney.com.
Hometown, your hometown station.
Welcome back. Everybody says I'm always such a high voice, so I'm really kind of trying to play it mellow, but in 2 seconds, everyone's going to get blown away. We have Lindsay Mann as our co-host, and guess what? Heather DeSantis! Did I scare everyone there? I changed it up.
Just a little.
It's kind of like when you're a pitcher, you can't keep on throwing a fastball. The hitter will know what's coming, and I don't want the hitter to know what's coming. So I hit ya. All right, we're back. KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. That's because you changed my schedule. Never, ever change my schedule. All right, Heather, we were back, and we were talking about Instagram being your favorite. But do you think that Instagram being your favorite is also the best social media outlet for every person in every business? And if not, try to differentiate what businesses are best associated with different social media. And you have 10 seconds. Go. Boom.
So I definitely think that you need to figure out, you need to understand your business and who your consumer is. But Pinterest is the best if you want to increase your SEO and web traffic.
Wow.
So Pinterest organically is free. So, and you can essentially do posts on Pinterest that is connected to your business that will rank your website higher. And also when you go to Google Images and you look for images, like they're all pulling from Pinterest. So Pinterest helps companies rank higher with SEO.
How do they make money if they're offering it for free?
Well, it depends if they have info products and it's a part of their funnel.
Okay.
So Pinterest is great. Facebook is great, especially if you're going to be doing paid traffic. The thing I know about Facebook is now how it is with Facebook is Facebook protects the business owner, and that there's a cap with how much you can spend on Facebook ads. And I'm pretty sure if your Facebook ad isn't performing, they cap what you can invest. And essentially with Facebook, you're paying for acquisition of new consumers to whatever, click through your post, etc.
Well, how do they determine success?
There's a certain ratio.
Because it's not a conversion, right? So what if I have 25 people out of 1,000 on Facebook that are clicking on my site, but all of them buy? Or if I have 1,000 people that are and 200 people are clicking and nobody's buying, which is more successful?
I mean, I always come from places what brings in more profit. I'm pretty sure Facebook looks at what was the click-through cost to get someone to act, but beyond that, I am not sure.
Okay.
This is kind of interesting. So, like pay-per-click, Google AdWords, we're kind of tying all this together, right?
No, totally. The thing about it is like, I believe that business owners, whether it's a brick and mortar location or it's someone that is a consultant or has high ticket offer programs, you need to have PR a part of what you're doing, even if it's just to get a couple articles to be seen as an authority, have content of someone else endorsing you other than yourself, and to have it be a part of all of your social media.
That's a good question. So we're talking about authority, all right? So other than being an Ask Brien expert, that's an authority, how else would you create your authority?
So there's so many different ways. You could become a contributor for different websites and write about your topic of expertise, whether it's business or it's self-growth. You could look for alignment. So if you know in the LA market there's going to be a lot of charitable events, you guys are very, I would say, out there in the public. I always see photos of you guys at events. You guys were at Collision. I would consider that really focusing on your reputation and positioning. So looking to go to events where you can get photos of yourself at those notable events, getting a photo with maybe a speaker at the event to say, I was just at this event and the speaker was this person. I view that as another level of how to build yourself as an authority.
And by doing these things and building yourself up as an authority, then does that make you the go-to person in your business?
I think it totally happens organically. I also, for me, for Facebook, like for the past 3 years, I've just been posting about PR for my personal page all the time, like client successes. So I think on your personal page, just being consistent with what you're posting, but then also on your name on Facebook, like where it says your first and last name, you can like edit your first and last name to have like your business title or like what you're good at after your name. So like mine is like Heather DeSantis and then in brackets PR expert. So when people go to Facebook and they type PR expert, my name pops up.
Awesome.
And that's totally free and can be changed in like 30 seconds.
Wow. 30 seconds, that's so long. I mean, we live in a society.
LinkedIn is powerful too. It's extremely powerful. I think if it's someone who has more, if someone's like more of an investor or high ticket business or coaching or consulting, LinkedIn speeds up the connection process, and you could literally connect with anyone that you want to by just finding them and sending a message.
So let's go over, well, first of all, I want to come back to this, but before we do, I still think people may not have a good understanding. So publicity for good, is that exclusively for a PR only, or is that also is there a charitable element to that? Because we're talking about publicity for good and trying to help others.
Yeah, so Publicity for Good, we're a for good PR agency, and our intention is to work with companies that want to get their message in the world. We're adding a for good component to our business model, so any new client that we get, we're going to give a portion back in the U.S. to an organization that we believe in. But that's really the focus of it, is creating new news, creating good news, highlighting good people and good businesses that are doing things differently.
So what's the average time that it would take somebody? So let's say Lindsay decides she's got a makeup line and she's just coming out with it, organic, and she wants to hire you. How long is it going to take for her to get out there in the news?
So it all depends on a array of things. The first factor is in the news cycle, what's going on in the world of news. Is it a heavy campaign season? Do we have a lot of fires going on? Like, that's the first thing, asking ourselves what's currently going on in the news. The second is, before we would even work with any company or any brand or product or makeup company, asking ourselves and working with Lindsay to understand what's the differentiating factor, how is it different than any other makeup product, and then outside of that, really creating a story. But once again, we have to create a story or pitch to the media that makes them see all the benefits, understanding the benefits more than it being a promotional ask. So I would say if there's no elections and the news are not being hogged because there's a big California fire, I would say 30 to 60 days. If you have a product, I would say it's easier to get media attention just because hot products like that, the media is always looking to do reviews of products, whether it's a roundup or best new makeup products, etc. And when you have a product, it's an incentive for the media. We're going to send them makeup, so there's an incentive for them versus strictly media. We're trying to get them to want to do a story when they love the story, but they already have a million stories they're trying to meet deadline for.
Okay, so you need bribery. That's the guy. Bribery is always good.
Oh,
All right.
yeah.
Pay for play.
So what are the challenges? What are the challenges that you think that people have in their businesses?
From a PR perspective.
From a PR perspective, that is, yeah.
Yeah, I would say first and foremost is that people aren't willing to play the long game or do the work that is needed to get to where they want. That's the first thing. Media is changing, and that to every media member, there's 5 publicists. So that means that media members are getting inundated with emails and pitches and calls. So times are changing.
Definitely. Would you say that there's such thing as bad PR?
I don't believe in bad PR. To me, my personal opinion is any time that there's more brand recognition for a person or company is great. And even when a media company, we pitched the Today Show and we got a soft no for a client, and they still know the client's name and they read their bio. So, things take time. So I don't believe in bad PR. But I do think it's so crucial. That's why every person should be willing to do the long game. So if someone Googles your name, they see all these different amazing stories about you from different outlets aside from your company. So if something negative were to ever come, you will already have all these positive pieces online anyways.
But isn't it a guarantee that at some point in time, no matter who you are, something negative is going to come out?
I mean, I think so. I think that's life.
Except for you.
Well,
with the exception of
I don't know.
So what do you think are the key factors in maintaining retention with your
test?
customers? Well,
I think there's like a test.
I just like asking blunt questions, Get straight to the chase here. So for your clients who come to you, like what are the factors for them to maintain their customer base with PR or advertising, or whatever?
Yeah, so I think it definitely comes down to always reiterating the value of playing the long game with PR, and that it's not I don't think it's something that you can just like do and like put your foot on, let's go, and then stop. There's so much value to, as a business leader or having a publicist or someone help you, just really being an eye for you in the news to know what's going on at all times, so that if something breaks in the news that's really relevant to your topic, they can pitch you to the media. Just as much as we build media campaigns to make a brand or person relevant and do business or PR campaigns around Awareness Month, we follow the news to look for things in the news or opportunities where we think our client would be valuable to an article that we know they're going to write. So you can't put a price tag on that, but I think once again, it's just always reiterating to them the value, and whenever possible, be like, hey, since January, you've had 43 live interviews, but your competitors have only had 2 or 3, and just reiterating that with them and meet your clients where they are and understand their goals and everything too.
What I see in most business owners, and this could even be an issue with the whole consistency, is most business owners, especially newer ones, they always have cash flow and financial issues. So sometimes it's not always easy to be consistent on an advertising program, on a PR program, or even hiring, keeping your staff, because they have these ebbs and flows. They're not, as they're growing. They don't just all of a sudden, it's not a straight line. So that's where I see the business owner having the problem of, I'd like to have that consistent PR and the consistent advertising, but I'm not bringing in revenue that I need to yet, and I got to first make sure that I cover these other things first. And so obviously, your perspective would be, hey, you have to stay in the game long term, and because you never know when it's going to hit, and it might be that you have nothing for 6 months, and then month 7 you have 5 hits, and then you may not have another hit for another 2 or 3 months. Kind of like that is how I see PR, and the argument is basically, well, this is an investment, and it's just part of any other investment, and you just have to keep on putting money into it, and eventually it works. We just don't know when. That's how I see it, but that's just me. I'm just an Ask Brien radio co-host. Some guy paid me money to come on the show and become a host.
Yeah, I would say too, though, that like PR is just as great. And I think too, like digital advertising is important too. I think they're just as important as the other. So I just think it's important for business owners to understand their goals and what they're trying to achieve, and then figuring out the solution. Is it that I really want to be seen as an authority, and I like being featured in the media, and I know it's going to help me with my goals because I'll be able to use that as leverage, and when I apply for awards, they'll have that, and then I can add all the media logos to my page. Or, is it I need X amount new clients? So it's really understanding where your business is and what your goals are, and then figuring out the best solution.
How do you value PR? You can value advertising, right? I can spend $5,000. I got $12,000 in revenue, so I know what my return on investment is. I can see that, right? With PR, it's a little bit harder. It's kind of like you don't know. So, okay, I got an article in Entrepreneur Magazine. Okay, how do I value that? That's a hard thing to do, right?
Good question.
Sure. So there's a couple different things. Doing a competitor analysis if there's another law firm or someone like you, and comparing
Nobody's
their
like me,
press.
but go ahead.
See, comparing their press versus your press. message residents to pull through, like, was the message in alignment with what you wanted to have said and didn't promote you, the impressions, and then also to people are comparing the advertising equivalent. So, okay, if we were to buy and advertise it, an entrepreneur is worth this, so the advertising equivalent of this press piece is this. And then also, I would say you also can add a bit.ly link to your press page where you can actually track the traffic that comes from your press link.
What is that called? Bentley?
bit.ly, B-I-T.
I thought it was a Bentley. I thought I was going to drive a new car.
bit.ly.
So that's going to assess how much traffic you got from the publicity that you ran, correct?
Correct.
So these are all good things that people need to know. Now, so what is the benefit then? Somebody starting that brand new furniture store, convince them. You got how many minutes we have left? Yeah, 4 minutes. All right, you got time. All right, so try to convince that person who opened up a furniture store and they're selling Lazy Boy chairs. How are you going to convince them that they should be going to you for PR?
So honestly, the best thing that I would suggest is for a local furniture store to do a TV segment, because we know TV, the demographics are, like, from a TV station, we can get the demographics from a TV station. We know that the viewers are X age and have this amount of money, and they're typically older demographics. So honestly, what I would do is do a local TV segment on it, like highlighting a local business, take that raw TV segment, put it on Facebook, and then find someone local who has experience running Facebook ads and just boost that TV segment to your demographic area. That's the quickest way that I think would bring the biggest return for a brick and mortar location.
On the internet, I know Google Analytics is there, but what about what about other demographics? Can you get that information other than, so if you don't run your ad on Google and you don't run your ad on Facebook, can you get demographics for doing a podcast, doing anything?
You can for podcasts, but the one thing about Facebook ads is if there's a competitor doing Facebook ads, you can go to their Facebook page and essentially almost see the back end of their Facebook ads and how it's performing and everything, so you can essentially mimic their ads.
Wow. I mean, I've heard of websites like SimilarWeb and Ahrefs and whatever that actually give you, what keywords people are using for SEO and PPC. But I didn't know that you could actually get information on Facebook directly like that.
Yeah. Every public business Facebook page, you can click on their business Facebook page, see what ads they're running, what the reach was, and everything else. And then essentially from that, you'd be like, okay, this ad works well. I'm going to do something similar on my end.
Now, I understand you do PR. Do you have an agency? Do you do anything on advertising side, or people want to do advertising?
So we're gonna be bringing on someone to run digital marketing, because I'm finding we're getting people so much press, but they don't have a funnel, and they're missing out on all the traffic that they should be capturing in a funnel to then have sales calls and get them into their program. So that's so important that you have a funnel in place, that you are doing a little bit of digital marketing, especially if you're going to be doing press.
I'll explain funnels, because the only funnels I ever had was when I was joining my fraternity. They used to pour beer in a funnel, and I had to drink it all at once. So why don't you have funnels for the non-fraternity brothers?
Sure. So I basically understand them, but it's this amazing way to capture all your leads in one place. It's a nice website. It's like $97 a month to use a program that is super popular. And you create a funnel, and there's everything on that page, whether it's a video from you or some testimonies, and then from that, they'll get into your email sequence, and then you can start sending them emails.
Can you give us the name of that software, or is that confidential?
Yeah, it's ClickFunnels.
ClickFunnel, is that with an S or no?
Yeah, it's ClickFunnels.
Okay. And when are you going to be bringing on your your ability to have PPC campaigns or other stuff on.
So we have 2 full-time developers on our team right now. So they could help anyone with digital needs.
And digital needs include advertising and what else?
Paid traffic, funnels, and everything too. Because we're finally launching for good our PR software, Press Demand.
Wow. I remember
Finally.
that. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was when I had my club and I was in the cave, and they used to call me Caveman. Yeah, I remember that.
Yep.
All right, well, we're going to wrap it up for now. We're going to be coming back in, 30 seconds? How many? A minute and a half. What's wrong with you people? All right, so, hey, notice I didn't say anything bad. A minute and a half. All right, so we'll be back in a minute and a half. That's 90 seconds. I don't think anybody can last that long without listening to Ask Brien, but we'll see.
Live life juiced up at Juice It Up Valencia. Come in and try our great tasting smoothies, protein shakes, acai, and wheatgrass for your healthy lifestyle on the go. Also, enjoy our 10 flavors of tantalizing zinc frozen yogurt and selection of healthy toppings. Juice It Up Valencia is located at the corner of Newhall Ranch Road and Copper Hill Drive in the Office Depot Plaza. Open Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. until 9 p.m. and Sundays from 8 until 8. And remember to live life juiced up at Juice It Up Valencia.
If you have a business problem, if someone doesn't honor their agreement and you need an aggressive attorney with over 27 years experience, the law office of Peter Bronstein has helped partners resolve disputes, franchisees resolve disputes, and other business owners who have a challenge. Let the law office of Peter Bronstein take your stress away. Visit lacorporateattorney.com. Don't wait too long and lose your rights. Solve your business challenge problem today. Visit lacorporateattorney.com.
Questions about your water bill? SCV Water is available to answer your questions and help you understand your water bill. They can provide the tips and tools you need to use water more efficiently. Visit yourscvwater.com to manage your account and to pay your bill. Their customer service representatives look forward to helping you. That's yourscvwater.com.
It's like no other station I've ever listened to. It's great.
Your hometown station.
That was hard. These phantom weights are very, very heavy. They're like 10,000 pounds. You're listening to KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. Because you're listening to the Ask Brien radio show. How do you spell Brien? With an E! ASKBRIEN. And we have our co-host, Lindsay Man! And our special guest today, Heather DeSantis, for publicity for good. All right, we're back.
All righty then.
Lindsay was chomping at the bit. She had a whole bunch of questions for us. Go.
So, Heather, we know that you're like the PR guru. Can you just give our listeners a little bit of a background of like where you came from?
Of course. So, I knew you were going to say that. So I grew up in the Midwest and went to a liberal arts college because Ohio has a million small D3 schools that are way too much money. I think probably like $60,000 to $65,000 a year. That's crazy for college.
Yes.
And I graduated with a communication degree, and then directly after that, I worked at an advertising agency. And for the longest time, I dreamed of being a TV anchor, or being a TV anchor that only covered community events. That was my dream. And then I got working at
Dreams
an
come
advertising.
true, by the way.
I know it could still happen, although I don't have that dream anymore. I don't.
Now it's just a good night's sleep.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was at the advertising agency for 3.5 years. but I quickly learned that the Mad Men style of things, it was very much the environment of Mad Men, the Netflix show. And then agency life is like literally 13-hour days every day, no boundaries, hardcore all the time. I knew that wasn't realistic to do for the rest of my life, especially wanting to travel and volunteer and have a family and all these things. So I left 3.5 years after working there. And then at the time, sometimes when we work for someone else, we don't take care of ourselves, or our health goes, or we just lose sight of everything. So I got a job at Lifetime Fitness, and then from there started doing a little bit of freelance work for PR, and then it just organically grew to now we're an amazing team of 9. We're hiring 3 more publicists, full-time people that only work for Publicity for Good. And my only focus and my only passion is Publicity for Good and working with our clients and the media.
How many clients do you have?
22.
That was very quick. And so if you have 9 people, that means that every person has what, about two and a half?
Correct.
Clients. That's pretty good.
Correct.
So that's pretty hands-on, I would say.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, these are going to be tough questions. You're not going to like them. What place would you like to get a client on that you have not ever gotten that a client?
Oh, of course. Good Morning America and The View. My favorite morning TV shows, Fox and Friends. That's my dream.
You haven't gotten anyone on that, but you have gotten them on what? To the Day Show, things like that, or what?
CNN and other big shows.
And what is your biggest client? And I when I say biggest client, let's rephrase that, because I don't want to offend any of your clients, but the client that
Yeah. So we work with an amazing. It's my favorite, but it's an amazing hard kombucha brand that's all throughout California. It's all across the U.S., growing fast, called Flying Embers Hard Kombucha. So anyone who drinks hard kombucha, go get yourself some Flying Embers.
I think I might have had that. Do they sell it in Whole Foods, Irwin Market?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Flying Embers Hard Kombucha. But it's really cool because the founder started KHTS, and then that got acquired by Pepsi. And now working with him and his amazing team to build another company from the ground up. So he's already experienced building a company, the first of its kind, and then having it be acquired by Pepsi. And now seeing the experience and how a team fully works together to grow another company is pretty remarkable.
And as a lawyer, I'm very surprised, because typically a beverage company who's buying a product would have a covenant not to compete for at least 2 years to make sure that they're not competing with them again. But that's when I have my lawyer hat on.
Heather, do you charge a little equity if you see your customers they jump from 0 to 60 overnight? Do you only make a small fee, or do you get any equity in the deal?
No, we just do a straight retainer, and it's based on our goals per month for the brand. So in this moment, we do not do equity, although that's a great idea. Great idea.
She wants to take equity in your organic cosmetic company that you're going to start, Lindsay.
Yeah.
She'll be the owner.
Yeah.
You can just have your organic lipstick.
There's actually, speaking of that, there's a big BeautyCon is this weekend in LA. It's the biggest beauty event. I'll be going to it, but it's called BeautyCon. So you could go there and scope out some makeup brands, Lindsay.
That is exciting.
I don't like the word con. It sounds like con.
That's because of your mindset over there, Brien.
Well, exactly.
It's not the purist.
Purist? It's not even close.
All right. So, Heather, how do you shuffle through your priorities? You're so busy. How do you do it?
Well, ask Brien comes first, but otherwise, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So first and foremost, Publicity for Good has been my number one priority for the past million years, and it still is.
Since I was in the cave.
What'd you say?
Since I was in the cave. You said the past million years.
I know. So That's the number one priority. We're bringing on more publicists and an EA, so I have more time and space for myself because it's a little hectic, just making sure everyone's taken care of, our clients are taken care of, the team's taken care of, and everything too. So acknowledging that I need help is a big move in everything. I am one focused tunnel vision on publicity for good. And now that my boyfriend's getting out of the Navy, he's more on the operations side. He is helping me with publicity for good too on an operational level. So all of our time is together, but we're working on publicity for good, other than we started a mandatory no phone date night.
Oh.
So that's the one thing that we're adding in.
We're not going to go personal
You have to
here.
have that.
We're not going personal on this show. Because if we did, we need a 9-hour show. But anyway. So basically, he's going to be part of Publicity for Good at some point in the future?
So yeah, he is helping with all the operations and the hiring for the team.
And does he have a background in that? I mean,
so he went to school for business, and then he was in the Navy, so very operations too.
I'm sure he can give orders. Do this.
Yes,
do that,
he
do
can.
This. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You guys are really going to have to set up something crazy here, because if you're working together, you're together, it's just like, woo, the balance.
And on that note, unfortunately, we've got to end. We'll have you back again. Thank you very much, Heather DeSantis.
Thank you guys.
Bye, Heather.
Publicity
Bye,
for
guys.
good.